Friday Night Racing
on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie.
All right, you're very welcome along to Friday Night Racing. We're here with you every Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, streamed across all of our social channels. And then in the evening at 8 o'clock, we're on the radio on Off the Ball on News Talk, brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie or follow the Twitter account at HRI Racing, hashtag every racing moment. Our guest this week is Sean McDermott. Sean, you're very welcome. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
And
good to be here, lads.
Happy New Year to you too, Johnny.
How are you, Ger?
Good. Did you have a good Christmas, Johnny? Any news for us?
Grand. No news, no. Went to...
It's an emotional time where people make big declarations about their life. I'm trying to marry Johnny off here, Sean. That's what's going on.
No, didn't get married anyway.
Struggle.
I went to Leopardstown the 4 days and it was good fun. You'd be very tired after it because it's like straight out of Christmas. And it was good racing. Naas was fantastic last Sunday. N-Violin, I think, has taken people's imagination like... Just, I don't know if any horse has done this, actually, even Sam Crow, in a long, long time, Sean.
Yeah, he looks pretty special. The vibes from day one, from when he was in his bumpers, were always very positive, and he's living up to it, and he's only going to get better with fences, so he's really caught the people's imagination, and hopefully he goes on.
Have you seen him physically?
I seen him once physically, in Gordon's, actually. Yeah, he's a big specimen, and I haven't seen him this winter, but apparently he's only after filling out even more, you know. So.
David Russell said after the race you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him, which I thought was interesting because he's... but everyone at Naas just wanted to take photos of him. He's just a picture, absolute picture.
That's great. We'll come back to that obviously in plenty of time for what's coming along the festivals. But Sean, I think everybody's going to be like, oh, ask the question. You're currently in a neck brace. Are you okay?
Yeah, I know, I'm fine. It looks a hell of a lot worse than what it is.
Looks bad now. Looks pretty bad.
You know, it's your perspective, I guess. But yeah, it's a cracked at T1 or chipped or cracked or fractured or whatever way you want to look at it. My T1 vertebrae, top of my back. So it's as good as a fracture as you could get in the vertebrae. Or I think it looks like a big chip, to be honest. And I think that's the way Paddy Kinney probably referred to it. But
he's a surgeon.
He was a surgeon. It was a fall at Fairy House on the 1st, so it was like Happy New Year. I was only back 4 or 5 days riding back on Stevens's Day from a fall I got out in America. I got a proper smack out there, but yeah, just a routine fall. It was the handicap hurdle. I was Rory Tierney, my agent, sent me up there thinking the filly'd win. She'd second and won on her last start, and I'd ridden her actually the previous January, I think, or previous winter, when she was a maiden hurdler and that, and yeah, just went down second hurdle, and I don't know, something must have caught her eye, but she stepped with her forehead, and yeah, it was a heavy slap, but I thought I was fine, you know.
What did she step with her forehead? I mean, she ducked into that?
Generally, they wouldn't do it so early in a race, and we were quite comfortable. We were kind of maybe one off the rail. I think it was tracking Sean Flanagan, and generally, like when they're under pressure or they're at that point 3 or 4 out in a race, and they might just take a chance and they'll grab or step, as we call it, with their front leg, and it's kind of guessing. Sometimes they get away with it. You know, 50% of the time they probably don't, but it's not something that you'd like a horse to do. But she didn't actually do that. She kind of, something must have caught her eye, and she just basically missiled to the ground. So problem being, my hands are still on her with her, and you're only I guess a couple of feet from the ground because it's happening so fast, so you're not ready to brace or anything. So my head, I guess, got kinked back, and I got a bit of a kicking, but the kicking was fine. It was more just, I'd say, the impact on the ground. Yeah, but
Were you knocked out?
No, I was fine. I wasn't going to get up now and do 10 press-ups or anything, but I initially thought, oh, geez, that's a good one now, and I had the pins and needles running down through my arm, and just burning sensation on top of my base of my neck, top of my shoulders, I guess. I thought it was like just nerves and muscles. So a few groans out of me, and I got up and got over. Doctors came, but I walked to the ambulance, walked out of it, and the surgeon, Paddy Kinney, happened to be at the races on a social day out, but
wasn't social anymore.
Well, he'd already met Davy Russell, I think, with his ankle. He twisted his ankle or something, and yeah, so he was back in. And I thought I was fine. He thought I was fine. Go to the hospital for precautionary X-ray. I did. There wasn't much. It wasn't showing up. I think there was something up with the actual screens in the hospital and the X-ray machine. They wanted me for a CAT scan or a CT scan, and I was due to come back up on the Friday, so I said, look lads, I'll just go on home there and I'll see you on Friday. This was now Wednesday, so I did that, went home. I had this collar anyway, but I was casual enough, went home, came back up on the Friday, and I was actually considering riding a bit of work in the Old Vic on the way up. But I wasn't that sore, you know, it's like a rugby injury or something, but got up the...
I was thinking, I went home and the pain became unbearable, was what a normal person thinks. Like, geez, I'm grand here, I'll go
ride out.
Get on a horse.
No, but like it's, people can build these things up as bad as they want, but your vertebrae are just bone again, and it's at the right place, so it's just a little crack. So it's a lot of those falls and stuff. A lot is nerves and muscles and ligaments and things. But anyway, he found a clear crack on it, and here we are. Then he gave me the news in 10 minutes. I was like, oh, fantastic, not again, you know.
Right, and so what's the recovery time on that then?
I actually have to speak to him again. I have to go back to him in 4 weeks, but I'm hoping it's basically once it knits back together, if it does that in 4 or 5 weeks, I might be okay, you know.
Okay.
But it depends on how quick it heals, you know.
That moment that the horse's forehead goes down and you're hitting the ground, how much of that do you actually remember in the aftermath?
This fall, everything of it, but some falls you wouldn't.
What's the physical feeling like?
Well, that particular one, like she did it, and you just have that split second thought. I was thinking, oh,
you know what's happening.
Like you're probably thinking a few swear words through your heads towards the horse, but you don't really have time, like, you know, and you're down and you're kicked and it's over, and you might be just thinking on the ground then. Depends on level of pain, or maybe there's nothing wrong with you. Maybe you pop up and you grab your horse.
The bit where you said, I felt pain in my arms, I presume there's relief when you're like, oh, my fingers are working.
No, because then you're going out before a ride thinking I might fall or something, and you never do that, you know.
It would only be if it was fine, everything was fine.
It's like I guess, I don't know, if I got knocked off his bicycle or something, you're thinking, oh, geez, that was sore, what happened? But you just pop up, you know, and it's some of the times when you can't go to get up, you go to get up and, that's not working. But this was just more of a bang, and I knew I was kind of thinking back afterwards in the jockey's room. I'd asked Jody McGarvery had done some fractures up there, and I just said, I wasn't sure, was there something gone, to be honest, and I was thinking, did you have this or did you have that? And he was like, you better go and get that properly checked.
Yeah. How would you compare a hurdles fall to a fences fall, because you're probably expecting it less?
It's not that you're expecting it less. No, again, there's no expectation of falling. And if you're thinking of expectation of falling, people talk about bottle and whatnot. That's like any sport. If you're a boxer that's scared to get hit, like, you're not going to be very good, or else you're going to be very hard to hit. I don't know which, but there's no... A hurdle fall is worse basically because most of the time, because you've less time to react. You're closer to the ground and the horse is closer to the ground. And like a fence asks a horse to jump more in a rounded sense in general, and it just gives your body that split second to react, and it's instinct as well. It's not like something you can really practice, you know. It's just the speed of it happening, I guess.
And how would it rank in your history of falls and tumbles in racing?
Oh, that one wasn't too bad. No, no, the one in America wasn't great, but I broke 5 ribs that time and punctured a lung there. That was a heavy slap. But the worst of all, years ago, I dislocated my hip, and I think Ruby actually did that one time, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody now.
When you hear of hips, you don't think of an injury, you think of needing your hip replaced, I suppose. So, like, that must be a hell of a blow. Yeah,
it was actually on a horse that I think Gavinci de Salvin, I think was his name. He was, I think, ex-Artemora horse. Paul Nolan trained him, and he was going around in one of those nice condition races or nice prize money condition races in Kilbeggan. So here was a horse that was coming from jumping around big Grade 1 courses, and he was rocking on to Kilbeggan, which is, there's basically no straight in it, and it's generally quick ground, but it was a conditions race, so there was nice prize money for an older horse coming down. And I think the speed just caught him. He never made a mistake the fence, and he just didn't land really. And I guess my knee must have impacted the ground like a car crash kind of, and shot my hip out the back. That was, as pain goes, that was one. That's when you remember. The rest were kind of bearable. You know.
What happens then when that happens? Like, are you given sedatives straight away, or?
That day there was a really good doctor on site. I can't think of his name, but they couldn't get me on the actual spinal board that day because my knee was turned backwards. So there was that was an 8:30 race, and I think like it was the height of the summer, so the bumper was to be at, it might have been 8:30, 28:30. The bumper was to be at 8:50 or 9 o'clock, and it got delayed for like 15 minutes because they were still trying to get me onto the ambulance. But yeah, they gave me, I think, 15 mil of morphine, if I probably be correct with that. That's the max they can give you, but no, you feel everything in that one. Even the ambulance ride had to go really slow because of the bumps, you know. And Keith Hadnett had I think a broken jaw the same day at Kilbeggan, and yeah, so they give you some sort of a sedative that kept me awake, but I wouldn't remember. That way the nerves in your body, it's better when they put a dislocation back in, apparently, when the nerves are alive, or better than doing it under operation.
When I was working in a bookie shop, and if that happened, it would delay the last race, and people would be giving out because, you know, you'll be there all day, you want to go home, and you see the crowd cheering when there's a loose horse sometimes, especially like kind of a partying crowd, and you see people and bookmakers cheering where a horse falls at the last. Just picture yourself in his predicament if that ever happens again, because it'd soon shut you up, I think.
No, totally.
Sorry for delaying that day, Johnny.
Yeah, I think I left at that stage, but I was probably giving out because I'd backed her or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that actually sounds very sore just being here right now.
Oh yeah, like I think everybody listening is just cringing with the pain. But you came back, and you obviously love this thing. Yeah,
but it's I guess a different mindset, whether you're a Gaelic footballer or soccer player, or any of the jockeys in the weigh room would have went through this. Like, I know it looks dramatic sitting up here with this, but like it's the one sport where everybody, I don't know, other professions or industries, if you break a bone and they're thinking, oh, we're on sick leave, we might get a bit of a holiday or something out of this. Jockeys are the absolute opposite anyway. And I've never, maybe bar one, seen a lad that would extend his time off. Everybody's in a rush to get back, and it's better now, even since the Dr. McGoldrick era. He's enhanced things a bit, and we've a bit more laid on here. Still a bit behind England, but we're getting there with physios and whatnot, and they get you back quicker, and keep you off the injury pay list. So it's all.
And is the psychology and the psychological, this part of it, that's the hardest part? Is it where you're like, okay, not doing anything now for 4 weeks, just got to be calm about this?
4 weeks at least, yeah. It was disappointing because the fall I got in America with the ribs was serious enough, because I almost, I think it was 80-something% collapsed the lung, which is basically standing a balloon, and they're more worried about that and infection and flu. So I gave it all extra time, and even I came back, I wasn't allowed to fly until December, so I flew, I think got back here December 4th, went to England for a week. I gave it a bit of everything, got back fit and got back harder, so it's a bit frustrating that I eased nicely back into it. I thought over the winter there, over Stevens' day, I didn't take any bad rides, and yes, you just get a fall, but any horse can fall, so
you turned down rides on Stevens' day.
You would, yeah. Well, look, my job in America, I've kind of parted ways with the job I went out to, but they don't want me coming back in a cast, or I'm there to ride winners for them, or I'm there for a reason, and it's hard to get. They have to pay plenty, to get you there, or it's different in here,
So Ireland is nearly like your off season in a way.
It kind of was,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say that. I'd come back and keep riding to keep fit and try and source some horses to bring back to America also, you know, and ride a few winners and keep the contacts up. And I've always had one eye on coming back fully, but I keep getting these opportunities out there, so it's kind of...
Well, tell us about America, actually, because how did you end up going over there?
Yeah, so I think it was a mare of John O'Shea's that I'd ridden to win 5 or 6 called Goodness Gracious Me, and
You had a real association with him down the years as well.
John, yeah, John's a good fella, yeah, trained in Kilkenny, and this mare, like, loved firm ground, loved running, and she was tough on her day, she was hard to beat, and probably never got to the heights of what she should have. But I got a phone call from America one day, and it was to buy her, I think, and I had nothing to do with her, only ridden her, and I was like, what's this number, you know, I was looking at it anyway, answered, and it's, hello, are you Sean? I said, yes. You ride a horse called Goodness Gracious Me? I said, yes. Who's this? Tom Voss. She any good? I said, yeah. She like quick ground? Yes. Thanks. Woof. That was it. So phone hung up. I was like, who the hell was that lad? So I rang Ross Garrity actually, and Ross was telling me and filled me in on a bit. He's out there for many years now. So
Who is he?
Tom Voss was the leading trainer out there, a horseman all his life, great
Right.
man. He's since passed away a couple of years ago, but he's held in high esteem out there now. So he wouldn't suffer fools gladly now, and he'd be short with his words, but a real good fella. So he didn't buy the mare, but he did call back about, I think, a couple of months later, I think, and he needed a jockey out to go out for some races, and because he'd watched replays of this horse, I guess he thought, see what I go. So I...
Had that ever happened to you before? A random American ringing you up and saying, here, listen, come over and...
No.
It sounds great. Like, are you...
Well, I guess, like, he might have spoke to... You could see how it happened. They're probably starting to source horses more, or they are sourcing a lot of horses from this side of the world now, but he was obviously looking for a certain type of horse, and I happened to be the lad that had ridden her. And,
Yeah.
But he called up, and I was like, American jump racing, what? I hadn't seen any of that really. Like, you'd see the odd one on Belmont and at the races and whatnot, but I was like, yeah, I might, I don't know. I was kind of humming and hawing with him, and he just wanted me out, like, for Saratoga, which was 6 weeks, and I was checked the dates. I said, no, I said, Galway's on during that, and I can go for 2 weeks maybe. So we kind of came to an agreement. I flew out, rode in Philadelphia Parks first to look at what America was like, stayed there for 4 days, like, thought, geez, this is a great place, like, it's lovely warm weather, they're treating me well. So yeah, I'll come back to Saratoga there for 2.5 weeks, something like that. So came back to Saratoga, and there was only 2 races a week, maybe 3 at the time, 2 or 3 races a week for 6 weeks.
That's their summer circuit, isn't it? Their big festival.
Yeah, but it does change now, and it's a changing world over there too, the race, and they're getting a bit of grief, but that was it at the time. But the difference was, like, the races were 75,000 on the Wednesday and 150,000 on the Thursday. And I'm looking at this thinking, well, Tom Voss is the leading trainer. He doesn't have, or one of the leading guys. He won't have a horse in every race, so I'll be spare for somebody else. There's only going to be like 10 runners, and I get 10% of the prize money. I'd have to ride X amount of winners back home to do in the middle of summer, you know, going around some similar tracks, you know.
So the economics made sense pretty quickly.
Exactly. So, and
How were the economics at home before you were heading over? Like, what stage of your career were you at?
I started okay as a conditioner, but I was riddled with injuries early on, and kind of similar to Sean Flanagan or that. I kind of went through bad patches, you know.
He was very close to ending up in America as well, which is the funny thing.
Yeah, well, he actually ended up in the job that I went after him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't... You can do quite well in Ireland, like, make a good living riding and winners, but it's a very funny sport, as in, it's all about fashion or who's clicking, and I like gets on a roll, but there could be 10 better lads there that have been passed over, and that's just the way it is. You see it with, you know, John Allen in Australia riding like 7, 8 group winners last year in the flat, you know. and riding phenomenal now. You wouldn't know whether it's Ryan Moore or Johnny Allen you're looking at. And Declan Bates, another one. These lads, and all the lads that have went to England, like Gavin Sheehan and them, like, they're all here before in Ireland giving it a go, and it doesn't work.
So the pool here is unbelievably strong.
Oh, very. And it's no fault of anyone that, like, a guy could be in a yard and he just needs that opportunity, or, like, it is a business and that, but it seems to, maybe you get the experience here and you go out and you're better out in these countries, I don't know, but there's a lot of talent here. You know?
I've always thought in Ireland it's almost like, say, Man City and Liverpool, and then you've maybe the next batch, but the middle batch, like, are the sort of down in the relegation zone, incredibly talented riders, which just isn't the opportunity there. Yeah. Sean would have been one of the, just looking at, I can't believe you're on the go 20 years. Like, actually, that's very surprising. So just time flies. Your best year was probably when you were conditional, when you got 13 winners in 2001, 2002.
Yeah, I've never had a massive big season, but again, I think all of those first, there wasn't a lot I didn't do every year or as in injuries wise. For the first half a dozen years, but and you just become, you just get not fashionable, I guess, but you still ride plenty of horses and whatnot. You still have
just as well, I presume. Or do you feel like you're as good a jockey even when things aren't going for you, or because it's such a confident sport and it's decided, it's a statistics game?
Well, like my confidence probably never dipped that much, mentally I'd be strong, and like you come back and say like you're on the call list, you hadn't ridden a winner for a while, and this thing's cantering, and you might hit the front a bit too soon there, or something simple like that, but you'll still win. You think, oh, geez, it's grand to win, but you'll be back quick enough, and confidence comes and goes. You know, but I'm strong enough that way. But the time I went to America for the 2.5 weeks, like I think I had those whatever races were there, 7 or 8 rides, and it's like a couple of seconds, thirds, and one of those big pots, the 75,000, which is like 45 to the winner. And next you're going home and you're thinking, geez, there's probably not too many. There probably was no one during the summer made that money as a riding, that
you made in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I went back and rode in Galway, and I didn't go back over again. I stayed here for a little bit, and a job came up with Jack Fisher's. Then he contacted me and went back in.
Jack Fisher's in the States, is it?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So it was the back end of 2000. It took a while for my visa to come through, and back end of 2014, I think.
And you were then the stable jockey for him for the year, or?
Yeah. He works it a little different. He always likes to have two riders there, first and a second. But he'll have a good batch of maidens at the start of the year, and if you ride, he'll be running 2 and 3 against each other in every race. But if you ride these two at the start, that's it. You're riding them for the
right.
So it's kind of a lucky dip with him sometimes.
Okay, and so
and he'll do it by owners as well. He'll do it by
this is your jockey, this is your horse. We're going to stick this team together.
He'll please the owners, number one, which is a good business plan from him, and everybody's happy.
It must be totally different style though as well. I remember Sean talking about it, where he said they tend to go flat out, and that the Irish rider would be a bit more patient. And obviously you're riding. I suppose you're riding left-handed all the time, are you? And
yeah, well, so the hunt meetings, which are the jump tracks basically, and you could go left or right-handed on them. There's more left-handed. Generally a bit tighter than here, like a galloping track they call Thurles, They had a lovely track, or still have, in Camden. It was like 2 miles around. It was like Mallow going the opposite way, and they've left it go by the wayside a bit, where they're using the inner track on it. But horses, you need a horse with a high cruising speed, no matter what level you're at, and they need to travel. And most of the lads out there now are Irish or English. There's very few Americans coming through, but they're trying to change that. They're trying to get it a bit.
Who are the Irish lads? Obviously, apart from Ross Geraghty and.
You've Darren Nagle, Ross Geraghty, Jack Doyle spent a few years out there. Willie McCarthy, who was in England before he went out there. Barry John Foley's actually recently come out there a bit. There's There's a gang of them, you know. So.
It's obviously gone well.
Yeah, it's gone well out there. But again, it's financial is the prize money, you know.
Yeah.
If you want to ride a lot of winners, I think if you have somebody coaching you from a young age, you probably go to England, you know.
Right.
And if you really want to ride a lot, you go to the north of England. That seems to be the way it is, you know. But I'd prefer to ride a few Grade 1 winners now than 100 poor handicaps.
Right, so are you happy with the career choices then you've made? Like, that being in America is the right thing for you and the right course of action?
It was, yeah. Like, it's opened up a lot of doors, but you're always looking at home, you know. And obviously, like last year, I was thinking of coming back here and giving it a rattle. I'd spent a couple of mornings a week in Gavin Cromwell's, and he was starting to take off, and he'd no firm, stable jockey or anything, and a few yards like that, you know. And you know, if you put your head down and got stuck in, you'd probably reap the rewards, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, the likes of them lads, they know the game and they don't suffer fools gladly. So if they're putting you up, you're doing something right anyway. You know, so.
Johnny mentioned you're 20 years at this now. What's next after being a jockey? Like, that's obviously something that's always part of the conversation for the jockeys.
Well, we got offered a different kind of a role over there to go back to, so I'd probably do a bit of pre-training and breaking alongside the riding over there, and maybe a little bit of training.
Whereabouts are you based at the moment?
Sorry, it's outside Baltimore, so Maryland.
Right, okay.
It's a real wealthy country. Like the owners in the jumping game out there, like they're very nice people, great people. They support the game, but they've phenomenal wealth. Like,
yeah.
We don't have it here, really. Like, you haven't seen it in Ireland, you know. So that's what I'm going back to when I go back. I look, I could do anything in the horse thing. I guess I like the bloodstock end of it, and I buy and sell quite a few, or try to anyway.
Where do you keep them?
Well, I'm only the middleman, really.
Right, okay.
So basically, I'm looking for, you know, a dozen horses here now if I can find them, or in England, to go across and compete there. But it takes a certain type of horse. I won't fill that order because I think the market's a bit strong here, but we'll get them in America as well, you know. So yeah, that's one avenue I'd probably pursue. But
and how long will you be a jockey for? Do the falls have any impact on your timeline? I mean, obviously, you don't sit down and write down the timeline and go 2024. I'm going to race my last race, and then the next day I stop doing it and I become. But
no.
What age are you?
37 now.
And if you're riding 20 years, it could be higher than that, I suppose.
Yeah, and out there you can't have a lot of rides. It's there isn't enough races, so if you had 100 rides in the season, that'd be it, because they've actually lost a lot of jump race meetings over the years there, in the past few years, and the governing body that run it, the president is stepping down and there's a new guy coming in, so hopefully he can remarket it a bit. They shouldn't be losing race meetings, and it should be a really growing sport. Like, it's really got an awful lot of untapped potential, but they're stuck behind the times a little bit, you know.
Yeah, I spoke to like the Irish horses that have gone over there, and the people who've gone over to watch them. Obviously, Jory Judy and Tornado Flyer as well, and they absolutely love the day out up there, and it's like a proper carnival. Like, it's almost like, I think they described it as a music festival, but with horses.
right.
Yeah, it can be very crazy. It's a different model. It's like the fanciest point of points you've ever seen. They'll have tailgating, they'll call it, and you can drive in with your pickup
We
truck.
love tailgating. We do. I can't believe Ireland hasn't embraced tailgating in all its sports.
Yeah. You can drive in with your pickup truck, and you'll buy your spot along the race course, along the inside of the race course. And obviously the premium being by the finish line or a jump might be $200. But you can throw 50 yahoos of your friends on the back of that and bring whatever drink you want. and
they do.
And they do. And the horses go to the start. Horses go to the start there and things. And some of the race meetings, the noise, like you talk about the noise of Galway or Cheltenham or these places, like you'll have that going by because they're so close to you, they'll be nearly reaching out, and you're thinking, will you you know, like your horse might be half. But yeah, it is a good model in a sense. But then you'll see like the other side of it. Then the police will just have like cages on the way out, and there'll be all these like teenagers in cable ties. They're looking a bit worse for wear. Yeah.
There you are.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it's like good day out.
A good documentary in the making of that. All right, our guest this week is Sean McDermott. You're listening or you're watching Friday Night Racing wherever you're consuming this. We're on all of our social channels every Friday afternoon, so just go down to offtheball.com is the best place for that, or every Friday evening, of course. We're live on News Talk Radio. We're going to take a quick break. Friday Night Racing is brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Back after this.
Friday Night Racing.
On Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie. Friday Night Racing.
On Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie.
Right, you're very welcome back. So it's clear one area of sport where Ireland leads the way internationally is the breeding of horses, and the Irish Thoroughbred Marketing Stallion Trail is taking place today and tomorrow. Over 25 stud farms are taking part in the trail, which lets racing fans go behind the scenes at Ireland's world-famous stud farms. It's a brilliant initiative where they open the doors and you get to have a wander around and some chats with the people who are involved. The Stallion Trail is free to attend. You can register at itm.ie/Stallion Trail. That's itm.ie/Stallion Trail to attend your nearest stud farm. Our own Thom Malone has been out and about visiting the various yards today. He caught up with trainer John Flood at the Boardsmill Stud in Trim, County Meath. Have a look.
Well, I'm down here with John Flood of Boardsmill Stud. A lovely morning. You organised that well, John.
Yeah, no, it's a lovely day, Tom. Hopefully going to be a busy couple of days.
Yeah, looking forward to obviously the Irish Thoroughbred Marketing Stallion Trail. When people come here to Boardsmill, what will they see that may be slightly different from some of the sort of bigger, more kind of commercial studs?
Yeah. No, this is a family-owned stud. We've been going since we stood the first Thoroughbred stallion in 1935. My grandfather stood the first stallion here, and my dad carried it on, and now I'm the third generation standing stallions here.
Yeah, it's a lovely story. And I mean, what will the public see here? Well, 4 kind of main stallions that they'll come across?
Yeah, we're standing 4 stallions here at the moment. Of course, the new boy is Poet's Word, who we're delighted to buy this year. He was an exceptional racehorse. He's a good-looking horse, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of people come to see him.
And then you've got the established kind of stars. I mean, obviously Caliphate had a brilliant year, and Calanisi's just a winner's factory.
Yeah. All the other 3 sires that stand here are all proven sires. They've all had great years. They've all sired Grade 1 winners this year. Caliphate sired Carriacou, the big winner in France. Kalashnikov for Calanisi, and City Island, of course, won at Cheltenham for a Court Cave.
Yeah, I mean, and I suppose for such a small group of stallions to provide that success is it's going to
it's brilliant. Like, we've had a great few years, like with the proven sires, like, and you don't take it for granted, like, because it's not always that will happen, but thankfully at the moment they're all firing.
And I mean, looking forward to sort of the next year. How you're obviously after having a year like that, they must be easy enough. Looking forward. Then,
yeah, no, they're all going to be busy. Obviously, Poet's Word is probably going to be the busiest. There's a lot of interest in him from both English breeders and Irish breeders. And the others, like, we're going to have to manage them a bit now that they're getting older, but hopefully they're all going to be busy too, yeah.
And so is that something completely different, isn't it? Like those, like you see Poet's Word, he's 7, and you can even see him, he's a different sort of type of horse, and you see the old masters at this stage, the Caliphates and Calanisi and Court Cave, they know the score, like.
Yeah. No, Poet's Word, like, in fairness, he's a very good-tempered horse, like, and he did his first year at stud at Shadwell, like, so they had him well managed, like, when stallions come to stud at first, they need to be taught their job, like, because they can come out of training very colty, and they need to be, what's the word, kept under control, like, know who's the boss, like, albeit they are stallions, like, so they're going to be more boisterous than a lot of other horses, but no, he's very good, like, but as you say, the others it's clockwork now for them, like, they know their job.
Good stuff. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Tom.
It's John Flood in conversation with our own Thom Malone there at the Boardsmill Stud in Trim. He's also en route to Godolphin today. You can check out all happening over on our social channels. So head over to twitter.com/offtheball, and the full video from the rest of that stuff will be available a little bit later on as well. ITM.ie/Stallion Trail. And you can head off to your nearest stud farm tomorrow.
They'd have a strong, the Floods have a strong connection to Navan Racecourse, and they had Mount Nelson, who was a very promising national hunt stallion, obviously the sire of Penn Hill, and they're a few stallions. It's kind of quite sad because they never really got the chance to prove what they could have been. And I'm thinking Jeremy, who was obviously the sire of O'Connor, he was a horse that famously reared up when the Queen visited the National Stud, and the Queen didn't literally didn't flinch one bit. She was just looking at him a couple of yards in front of her. He passed away. Fame and Glory, I think, was going to be a superstar. He passed away, and Mount Nelson that they had was going to be a superstar as well. So it's kind of the variance of having a stud. But yeah, Boardsmill, very successful operation.
There's a stallions rearing up in front of the Queen joke that you could have made there, but anyway, we won't bother.
Are you watching The Crown?
No, I mean, it's the real life is the real story.
It is. But the racing features in the actual Netflix series, and the young Queen is talking to one of the scholars about how much she loves Vincent O'Brien.
Right.
Yeah. So
in that kind of way.
Yeah. Not in a purely platonic way.
Right.
But in she absolutely loves her horses. She loves her horses. You wouldn't. It's easy. No, it's an Irish show here. You wouldn't be taking the piss out of the Queen like that over in England, now, would you?
You would. Yeah. Well, you should be, right?
Our sovereign and all that.
Exactly. I mean, come on. What? Anyway, that's their problem, not ours. The Tote Irish Injured Jockeys Fund has yet to get off the mark for this year. It says.
Come here. It's bloody well 9th of January.
10 days in.
Selection.
After Johnny's selection, Hardwired was only able to finish on the coattails of the leaders when 4th at Naas last weekend. The Irish action this weekend will come from Fairyhouse tomorrow and then Punchestown on Sunday, where Andy Dufresne will seek redemption in the Grade 2 Moscow Flyer Novice Hurdle. There's like a nominative determinism with Andy Dufresne that only at the very end things go well, right? No?
Yeah.
If
you really want to stretch that Shawshank Redemption analogy. I don't know about Sunday now. I don't know what you made of this horse. I thought he was beaten fair and square the last day over 2.5, and I didn't think that'd be a negative. And now he's dropped back to 2 miles. I'm not sure about him. My nap is Cheb de Kervenu in the 2:10 at Punchestown on Sunday. It's actually Patrick Mullins riding for Gordon Elliott, which is quite interesting, taking on a horse of Gavin Cromwell's that beat it the last day. But Chef de Kervenu is my nap. But we've very good racing this weekend.
Does Patrick Mullins often ride for Gordon Elliott?
No, I don't know if Jamie Codd is away or whatever.
No, he would have, I'd say, once or twice in the past. But,
he has ridden for him in bumpers. This is there
was a picture of them all hanging out recently.
Yeah, up at Willie's, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. Gordon came for a visit.
They bought, I believe, at an auction, didn't Eddie O'Leary buy the visit to Willie Mullins' yard?
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, so it was quite funny.
What are you doing over there? Let me have a look there. What's this?
We left you in 2016, but let's go over for a day out anyway.
And I think, I could be wrong, but I think one of the other Mullinses were bidding for the visit to Gordon's yard.
Right.
Or so it was. There was something, there's a bit of banter.
Very good.
Yeah, they do get on well, but I wrote an article on this today. Like, Gordon is 250 grand ahead in the trainer's title, but says he's no chance whatsoever of winning it. He probably has a bit of a chance, but
it's early days.
Early days. Like, Willie went into
4 months left.
Yeah, Willie went into Punchestown. But in fairness, the Dublin Race Festival, if one of them happened to have a very good one and one of them happened to have a very bad one, it could really swing it, because Gordon has a serious team of novices this year. He wouldn't have the seniors that Willie has.
Yeah, but obviously they'll come in a couple of years. So we're in the UK, some decent graded action tomorrow. It's going to come from Kempton and Warwick. Johnny's bet, a reminder here, Cheb de Kervenu. Is that it?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. It's an ex-French horse. In
the Total Event Rental Amateur National, the Handicap Steeplechase, which goes to post at 2:10. Why do you like this horse?
It's just touched off by Gavin's horse, the last of the Doyen mare, in a drive and finish. Biddy the Boss, she's not really that reliable, and he was well backed. He was really gaining at the line, gave it everything. He's better off at the weights. I don't really like much else in the race. I thought it was a winnable enough contest for amateur riders, and Patrick obviously definitely not a negative as well.
Reminder, new Tote customers can get up to €50 cash back for opening a new account. Check out the tote.com website for more details. There are some other races that we should preview this weekend. We start at Fairyhouse tomorrow. the Dan and Joan Moore Memorial Handicap Chase, 2 miles, 1 furlong.
Yeah, obviously a famous family, the Moores, and Charlie Stout is quite interesting here. He's running out of the handicap. If you backed him at Leopardstown, you would have been fairly sick because he jumped brilliantly. He carried Owen O'Connell to the front, and I'm sure this has happened to Sean. A loose horse sort of careered across him, and he kind of had to rein him back. But by the time he did, he'd kind of half gone off the track, and then the horse was sort of confused and just ran out through the wing. But everything was going to plan at the time. I think he's been crying out for a proper, strong 2 mile race, which this will be. Now, as a class angle, he's a lot of work to do, but I think he could be very interesting. This race is fascinating. You've Vanatu in it, a lot of horses, a lot of people will remember. Ustin Dema, who was a very good novice last year, obviously, and also Rock the World, an old horse who's bidding to reclaim former glories. That will be the feature 100 grand race at Ferryhouse tomorrow.
Okay, so that's a big race, but this is a handicap chase. These are just good handicappers.
Yeah, well, this race worth 100 grand. The 2 races at Punchestown, the graded races, are worth less than 50. So the good handicaps, which I think is the way it should be, the good handicaps are attracting good prize money as well.
And we don't expect to see any of these horses then have amazing years after this, do we?
Well, Ustin,
Can you use this as a stepping stone?
You can't. Ustin Dame is only a sophomore chaser, so he's in he was a grade 1 horse as a novice. Already last year kind of fell apart in the novice division. A lot of horses got injured and so on, but he could be competitive at grade 1 level. But if you had a young...
Where they get to grow and...
Yeah, and if you had a young horse who had a heavyweight in this, he's on the cusp of grade 1 class anyway. But most of them are, Division 2 horses, I suppose you want to call it that.
Okay, so that's Ferryhouse. At Punchestown on Sunday, we're looking at the Killiney Novice Chase. Again, this seems to be a good field, carefully selected. Around about 6 to 4 at the moment. City Island 7 to 2, Speakeasy 9 to 2, Lord Schnitzel 6 to 1.
Yeah, I don't know your views on the City Island was interesting. Martin Brass is a really good trainer, and I find that some of the campaign of the horse this weekend is very much a talking point because City Island won at Cheltenham last year. Martin Brassel said he absolutely flopped at Leopardstown in his chase debut. That was only a beginner's chase. A lot of people are saying he can't jump because he's too small. Martin Brassel, he left the track that day and apparently he had a real scowl on his face. It was a bad day at the office, but he's had a winner since. Straight back to war into a graded race with this horse, which is it looks really ambitious. So I'm fascinated to see how he goes.
Yeah, I haven't been following the racing as closely, but City...
Well, nothing to be doing,
that's just the last week. Yeah. But City, true. It's actually quite hard to see the racing over there. But City Island, yeah, his jumping hasn't been up to scratch. He's just lacking confidence. I wouldn't say anything about size not being a good jumper. Yeah, look, I'm not going to question Martin Brazel.
Yeah,
he's a good trainer, and Derek is riding him, isn't he? So, Mark is obviously one for JP, but.
Carefully selected is very interesting because he's a load of ability. I think he'll win, being honest. I think he'll take
Which carefully selected?
Yeah, he ran extraordinarily well last year in Punchestown, considering how keen he was. He jumped okay in his chase debut, but he's so much ability, this horse, and I couldn't have City Island at all. There's 16 days to get over his Leopardstown forms, going straight into this company. If it works out, it does, but I couldn't have him.
Sean, if you're looking to buy horses, what are you looking at? Where are you searching? What are you keeping an eye on? Are you watching point-to-point results and seeing...
Well, the point-to-point market's so strong here. And if you followed every point-to-point winner, some of them don't actually train on.
Right.
But they generally cost plenty of money. So, firstly...
I didn't know that. I just assumed it. Right. All right, so you could buy an expensive point-to-point horse and they don't train on because they just don't make it.
I suppose, like people, you'll have a guy there that's brilliant under 14, footballer under 16, and I'd be thinking, geez, this lad might make the minor Kerry team now, and there's the chap, he stops developing and the rest pass him out or whatever, and it's the same with a horse. And as well, there's so much money in the point-to-points now. There's a hell of a lot of schooling and effort and professionalism gone into them before they ever get to their second sales ring.
So where are you looking to buy horses if you are looking to buy horses for the States?
Try and find one for sale first, because it's actually quite tough this year. There's not many for sale. Look, horses with, say for a graded horse, you're looking for Galway hurdle kind of form, which is basically a graded handicap now anyway.
Oh yeah. And you're taking them at that level to go to the States?
That would be for the Belmonts and the grade ones over there. You need, because in the Galway hurdle you need to be able to travel, you need to be able to jump. It's that kind of speed, and they have a bit of stamina as well, but very hard bought now, and I've went through a lot of the fields
Right.
past Galway hurdles, and not too many would be for sale. But then maiden hurdlers, again, maybe a horse that wouldn't handle the winter heavy ground here, the very soft ground. So a speedy type of horse that might have summer form at the back end of the summer or something like that.
Can I ask a phenomenally boring logistical question? How do the horses get over there? Do they go by boat? Do they fly them on?
You have a couple of options. Well,
Expensive, isn't it?
it can be. It depends on who you fly with, which company you use. So let's say Doncaster Horse and Train and Sales is the 22nd, I think. So you buy a horse from there. He will go south of England, get across into France, up to Belgium. And in Belgium, they'll fly out of Liège airport.
Right.
Now, different transport companies will give them different layovers, different times. You can ask them to get a horse certain medication, because sometimes it can be stressful. And again, different horses with different temperaments. You could have a horse get sick travelling, so you might want some ulcer medication in them,
right.
Stuff like that. Then they will fly generally to New York, and they'll do their quarantine there for a little while, and then they'll get shipped down to wherever they're going by horse transport.
Okay, so it's not on a boat anymore?
No. You can go by Shannon. I think Coolmore used the option a little bit, but that's stopping Lufthansa plane coming across from Germany, and to get that just to land in Shannon and take off with your horse, it's 40,000. Whereas,
if you got to the age,
it's hard to explain if you've just only spent 50,000 on the horse, you know what I mean? But,
it's like buying the banger, but the insurance is $4,000 a year.
Yeah. So generally the other is not an option. So that's
right. Okay, so it wasn't that boring question. See,
Yeah.
we didn't talk about the rest of the field in the Andy Dufresne race, which is a Punchestown on Sunday.
Andy Dufresne was bought at Cheltenham last year, was it? I was actually there. I was trying to think now. He was bought at the Cheltenham Festival. They have a sale on after a race on the, I think maybe the Wednesday. But he was bought. There was a nice story behind it because Camilla, who worked for Gordon, part owned or half owned the horse, and it made a lot of money, and obviously went to JP McManus. So it was a great, it was one of the foot soldiers making a nice bit of money from a horse that had won a point to point. I still think he's very, very exciting. I just don't know what the price is on Sunday.
6-4 on at the moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't be having that, to be honest. If he wins well, he can win well and maybe go on to the Supreme. And he was very, very good when he won his maiden hurdle, but I don't think dropping back in trip is necessarily ideal. And Captain McGuinness won very well first time out for Henry de Bromhead, getting a couple of pounds off him for his age. And I wouldn't rule out Meticulous as well. Some really interesting campaigning of horses in that Meticulous. This is kind of like a minor going, without really playing minor, going straight into senior football, because Meticulous hasn't run over hurdles, straight into a Grade 2 on her seasonal debut. She's out of Refinement, who was a brilliant mare for John Joe O'Neill, by Fame and Glory, who I mentioned. Great ride for Eamon Corbett to get. It'll be interesting to see how she gets on, but Captain McGuinness looks the most likely rival to Andy Dufresne.
All right.
What price is Captain McGuinness?
If Andy Dufresne's 4 to 6, probably get 5 to 1.
I'd be going with him as well.
I guess, yeah. So it's going to be a very interesting race. Good racing at Punchestown on Sunday.
7-2 it's saying here, so you might get a bit of 5-1 somewhere for it. Sean, we wish you all the very best in your recovery. Thanks very much. It's a really fascinating story about everything. And you're planning to head back to the States this summer coming?
It'll probably be end of February, early March.
Right.
I'm just waiting on a visa there and things at the moment. So yeah.
Also made a bold prediction that Kerry would win the All-Ireland this year.
There's nothing bold about that, Johnny. Do you want to?
Not when you're from Kerry.
Do you want to lay some odds there on air?
Yeah. I think it's a more open championship this year. I'd lay, what price are we talking, Ger? 6 to 1?
I'll take a bit of 6-1. I think
6 to 1 to win the final last year.
I think they're about 5-1. They weren't 6-1, were they?
They were the first day, yeah.
I think they're not. Surely not as big a price after that.
For Sean, considering he's
Kerry 3-1.
What?
Yeah, I'll take your sixes, Johnny. Good man.
Ger,
Did a good show, Ger.
You spoke too soon.
We'll talk later.
Right.
I think it'll be 6 to 1 now.
That is the end of this week's Friday.
People believe that live post Jim Gavin offers hope. We'll see.
I think it does. I think it does. Friday Night Racing brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Wherever you go racing this weekend, make sure you check out the HRI. Visit hri.ie. You can follow the new Twitter account at HRI Racing. We'll see you next week. Best of luck.
Friday Night Racing.
On Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Horse Racing Ireland. Love every racing moment. Visit hri.ie.